Hey friends, it's Michelle Smith with Marshtown TV today, and I am here with a very special young man, and I mean that seriously, young man. This is Mr. Don Owen, that a lot of people refer to as Donnie. I will call him Don. And the reason I'm talking to him today, there's something really important that we want to share with you. Now, I know a lot of you may be familiar with God's Warerhouse Ministries. I always say it without putting in ministries. But we want to go a little more in depth with you, if you're not familiar, about what exactly this program is. And before we talk about what exactly you folks do here in Hamlin County, let's give our friends a little background as to what God's Warerhouse Ministries, basically what you guys are all about.
God's Warerhouse started a number of years ago when we had 18 families here in the Lakeway area that lost their homes to fire. And our association office, the Nolichucky Baptist Association office, started getting calls, can you help us with this? Can you help us with that? And we didn't have anything at that time. And so a friend of mine from over in Gatlinburg called one day and said, Don, I've got a friend that's got a hotel and he's going to remodel it. Can you use the furnishings out of it? And my first thought was, no, I don't want to get into that. And finally, I asked him, what kind of hotel is it? Well, it's a Marriott. I said, well, in that case, we'll take it. And he says, well, good. I've already told him that you'll be there Monday at 9 o'clock. It's the kind of friends I have. But from that, we went over and we carried back to Morristown 11 tractor-trailer loads of desks, chairs, mattresses, box springs, everything from a hotel, TVs, everything. And we began to meet the needs of these people who had lost their homes to fire. And that's how it started. Now, I want to tell you that 3 times I've tried to shut down God's Warerhouse, but
it's not your decision to make, is it?
That's exactly right. God wouldn't have nothing to do with it. And every time that I'd want to shut it down, God would make it bigger. And right now, under what we call God's Warerhouse Ministries, we have 5 ministries working out of there. We have disaster relief, which is actually over it all, and I'm the disaster relief director for the Nolichucky Association. But we have disaster relief, Baptist builders. We have Midwest Food Bank. Midwest Food Bank is relatively new, just a year with us. They come in once a month with 2 tractor-trailer loads of food, and we distribute that out to 30 different ministries in the Lakeway area that go to food pantries and churches who provide food for indigent people. And then we have God's Warerhouse, of course. God's Warerhouse distributes the furniture and that sort of thing. But our last ministry is one that really touches my heartstrings, and that's Harvest of Israel. Once a month, we ship a container full of supplies to Israel every month. So that's our 5 ministries that makes up God's Warerhouse Ministries.
Well, I knew the meat and potatoes of it. I had no idea of how in-depth it was. I thought there was just one program housed under it, and I think that's wonderful. I think, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, when you see somebody that has such a passion for what they're doing, yeah, it's not about you. It's all about God. It's not about me. It's not about the folks there. Well, now let's talk about if somebody wants to help with this. Do you have volunteers? Do you need volunteers? How does that part work?
Yes and yes. We have volunteers, but we always need volunteers. For example, right now we're in the midst of collecting supplies for this North Carolina flood recovery effort. And Jack Henson is directing the operation there for this collection. And he usually needs about 3 or 4 people a day to come in, collect the supplies, and as they come in, they take the supplies that's being brought in and put them in boxes. This one has toilet tissue, this one has shaving cream, and so forth. So that when we get a full box full, then we put a top on it, put it on a pallet, put it on a rack, and then we put it on a truck and get it to wherever it's needed. But we also need financial support, which God's blessed us with that as well. He never puts something on us that He doesn't provide every single thing that we need. So,
and if you're doing what He wants you to do, the money's going to happen, right?
It does happen, for sure.
Well, and again, I know you want volunteers, so this is a perfect opportunity for social clubs to step in, for groups, other church groups, right? I mean, this is not just solely Baptist, right?
No. By all means, no.
Okay, good deal. Well, now, you touched on something that I wanted to get into with you. Everything that our neighbors in North and South Carolina both have dealt with. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and we were talking about the fact that, the rain, it keeps coming. The floods, it keeps coming. Even though it's not the main topic on the highlight, right now on the news, it's still happening, and these folks need our help. What can we do through God's Warerhouse? What can we do to help these folks?
Before I answer that question, let me share something with you. I'm sorry. One of my men, Jack Thrall, and me took truck number 2. We've shipped 4 truckloads, and the last one just got back today, about 30 minutes ago. But on truckload number 2, I went with one of our drivers, and we got to North Carolina and pulled in. We were talking with the people there, and I asked them, I said, how are things going? And they said, well, yesterday we had some supplies, and in 4 hours, everything we had was gone. And I said, well, how long do you think these supplies? And we had a full truckload. They said this will be gone before noon tomorrow. And we was there at 6:30 in the afternoon. I said, well, how did you get supplies in here when everything was covered with water? She said, that's a good question, because you see that field out there, and it was a field of soybeans. She said they had to bring helicopters and drop. They couldn't even land. They had to drop it in the water, and they went out in boats and picked it up and carried it back to the facility where they were using. So it is desperate there. It's not in the news, and people think it's all over with, but it's not. Matter of fact, yesterday I was talking to the pastor that we dropped this truckload off yesterday to, and he says, Don, when are you going to have another truck over? And I said, right now, we just don't have another truckload of supplies. I said, it's not feasible for us to send a truckload over unless it's full of supplies. And so we're working to do that right now with getting the supplies there.
Okay, and you know what? That is a perfect opportunity for us to help you get that truckload and all the other ones loaded to you can get over there to our friends and family. We're so blessed to be right here in East Tennessee. We don't deal with the trauma that these folks do that deal with these hurricanes and these tropical storms and such. God's Warerhouse, you need to get anything that you can use to clean a house, right? Shovels, brooms, mops, rubber gloves. What else you need?
Well, I've got a list here. With shoes, they've lost everything. They got out of the house with their clothes on their back, sandals, clothing, sheet. Now, we don't take used clothing. It needs to be, new purchased clothing. Sheets, blankets, new dishes. Non-perishable food is very important right now. When we took this last truck over, we had a lot of food on it, and it was gone just very, very quickly. Toilet paper, paper towels, washing detergent, large trash bags, mosquito repellent. Oh, they're begging for mosquito repellent. The mosquitoes have gone crazy over there. But mops and brooms, like you mentioned, gloves, masks. Baby formula is another big need. Cat food, dog food, individual bottles of Gatorade. These things are all very important, and so anything anybody could do would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, let's give the address and also a phone number if there's anybody that wants to get some more details, some more information about it.
Well, the address is 3441 West Andrew Johnson Highway, and this is right straight across the street from Tractor Supply. And we've got a sign out there with the address on the sign. But the number you can call my number. It's 865-384-8691. Or you can call the Nolichucky Baptist Association office, and that's 586-7331.
Don, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're 24/7 going at this, and for you to take the time and come in and talk to us, we really do appreciate you doing that. Again, guys, we are so blessed with where we live, and yeah, we have bad things happen here on occasion, but not on this scale. This is where we need to step up, and we need to be a good neighbor, and we need to help our friends and our family over in the North and South Carolinas. And you know what? This is how you can do it. God's Warerhouse Ministry right here in town, west end of town. Pick up some supplies and go help our friends and family. Thank you so much for staying tuned to Channel 7 Marshtown TV today. I always say we have fun and cut up, but it's really important that you guys find out about things like this that are going on right here in our own hometown. See you next time.